and welcome to Cover 2 Cook. We're on episode 184 as we have to recap a lot of football. We have the Thursday and Friday night college football games that we're going to talk about, and then we're going to talk about the Saturday and Sunday NFL games as we're coming into now only a couple weeks left of playoffs for the NFL. We only have one game left of college football, so I hope you're enjoying it. We're also going to come back on Tuesday with Tim's Best Bets as he's got a Monday night game because guess what? There's a Sunday and Monday night game, so let's get it started.
Yeah, I was going to do a vertical jump there. Thank you, Sox.
Travel been to Indiana, and did Cover 2 Cook get you a good hotel?
Indiana? No, I'm in Louisiana. I'm here for Mardi Gras.
I know that this might be hard, but I don't know how much you remember Friday night since we left you damn near when you fell asleep.
I got my belly full, man. I was like, I warm covers and warm. I was like, I could go to sleep right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Jack Dorsey.
Final answer?
Yes. All right.
This is going to be a long fucking day.
Welcome back to Cover 2 Cook. We're on episode 184. I'm here with Anthony and Tim, and yes, it's been a weekend full of football. So let's get right into it with college football. Let's talk about Miami Ole Miss. Anthony, give me the recap of this game.
The number 10 seed, Miami. Ole Miss. I said I thought it was going to be a first half dominance by Miami, second half Ole Miss. Well, kind of. Miami started this game off just attacking, while Ole Miss could not get ready for that attack. Well, they both grabbed their feet. This was back and forth. Trinidad and Beck finding the receivers. The second half was crazy. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Just kept going. And then the game would have the last touchdown be Carson Beck. What a Cinderella story. He leaves Georgia. Everyone says, forget about him. That drive, all I kept saying was, this is what Miami paid you $4 million or whatever money amount to finish this game with the win. And for him to run it in the way he did, it was absolutely perfect. Ole Miss would drive a little bit down the field and get into a Hail Mary situation. You're never going to get a flag in that situation. You can call for it all you want. You're never going to get it. It's people going for a ball. Great win by Miami. Huge win by Miami in this game. I do kind of want to, talk a little bit more further, though. This is a team that wasn't in the college football playoffs until Selection Sunday. Yeah. They got slotted in, which now we're seeing the footage of Notre Dame. I don't know if you've seen that recently, of them watching, seeing them get out. Awful. But no SEC team in the championship again. So I think this prompts a question. Is the SEC beating each other up so much during the season that they're not playing well in the playoffs? Or is the SEC not king anymore? Because there was an independent team and a Big Ten last year. Now you got an ACC team and a Big Ten team. I'm not hearing SEC in those championship games. I wonder if, we've talked about whether it's the money and all that's coming all together. But, yeah, huge win by Miami in this game. Ole Miss, it was fun while it lasted. Trinidad will be back even though he's been refused because Diego Pavia showed the playbook for that. He'll be back.
Okay, because I was reading all of that, like he wasn't transferring, he was staying, but then NCAA was rejecting his 6th-year eligibility, so I'm like, what the heck is going on here? But yeah, unfortunately for Trinidad, he did not make it into this game or make it past this game. But yeah, I agree. The way that Miami scored that last touchdown, it was kind of like, storybook for him, right?
Yeah.
So a nice ending for them. I'm a little, disappointed that Miami made it this far for being barely in on Selection Sunday. But at the same time, like you said before, this is the Cinderella story that the best we're going to get for something like this. But again, like when we were talking about the selections, ACC was barely in it. They were only going to have one team in it. And for them to be the national championship is kind of like kudos to them, so good for Miami there. Let's switch it over to Tim. What were your thoughts on this game?
I think the biggest one is time of possession.
Yep.
41-19. I think that defense of Ole Miss was dog tired. That's how he got into the end zone so easy. I mean, I think they just – and even that one play that he scores a touchdown, I mean, that didn't give the defense long enough time to rest. I mean, he made that one – I mean, that Lacey running back, I mean – that didn't give no time. I mean, I think that's the key. I think they were dog tired. I agree that you're not going to get that call, whether he was holding on to that jersey or not. You're probably not going to get that call. It sucks. because now the Lane Kiffin era is now over. But just think, they were one game away from going to the national championship.
Yeah.
You know, and Miami right now, I think Carson Beck is just doing enough. He does what the defense has given him. He did have an interception this game, so you know that was here we go. He's going to start. It'll just start stockpile, and he didn't. He was cool, calm, and collective. That's what, and that defense is really good. They're quick. There was a lot of hard hits by Ole Miss. We were texting back and forth. They were out there hitting.
Yeah.
But I just think it was the time of possession was the big key. I mean, you have the ball 2/3 of the game. Your defense and Ole Miss defense isn't a world beaters by no means whatsoever. And then to have you be on the field for 40-some minutes of the 60, that's tough. That's tough. It's just too bad they didn't have a little bit better defense. But Miami is the winner, and I tell you what, we'll talk about the next game. I think they can give that next team everything they can handle.
Oh, I don't know. But one thing I did want to talk about before we leave this game, there was a targeting call on the field. Helmet to helmet. Now, these guys are running for the ball at the same time. It was no malicious tackle. It didn't even look like a tackle. He was going for the ball. And they pick up the flag. They say, nope. It's not targeting because they were running the same area. We love that. I've never seen that before, actually, in this whole situation, where two helmets actually collided, and they said, no, it's not targeting. And then later in the game, they had one on Miami hitting Ole Miss, and they called targeting. See, that's where I don't feel like you can do that when you're officiating. If you're going to get away with the first one, you have to let Miami get away with it as well. But yeah, I agree with the time of possession, but why wasn't Miami running the ball more? Every time it seemed like they were running the ball, they were getting all the yards they needed. Yeah. And if they were getting as tired, I felt like that's where the situation where I would have just wished they would have, but they had penalties that caused them to get behind the sticks. And then Carson
Beck, 10 penalties. That's a lot. That's too many.
Well, I'll say this. Carson Beck came back for a reason. Not just for NIL, but he has grown up so much this year. We've given him so much hell throughout the season because, he took Miami and all the money and all that, blah, blah, blah. But for that game, that was the Carson Beck game. That interception's not on him, gets deflected at the line of scrimmage. Otherwise, he was making the ball where it needed to be, and then that run, I was good for him, I guess. That's all I'm trying to say. He's taking a lot of heat from the media.
I don't want you to feel like I don't want the audience to feel that like Anthony's been like on Carson's side the whole time because
no,
hold on, because while we were watching that game, the final 5 minutes, Miami's taking the drive down or final couple minutes, Anthony looks over to me, he goes, I bet you he throws an interception. And I sat on it a little bit because I'm like, that's notorious, like he's done it in the past, and I'm like, all right, fine, I'll take you up on it. And the loser was going to have to do dishes on their own. No help.
Yeah.
And so I won, and I'm still waiting for the dishes to be done.
But that's what I'm saying, that maturity, because that final drive, that was a Carson Beck interception drive. That was what we expected from Georgia when he played at Georgia. Even Ole Miss, or I'm sorry, not Ole Miss, at Miami, when they were playing SMU and things like that. It was that final drive when it was like, dude, just don't do anything wrong. Interception. And this time, he runs it in. Good for him. I mean, I truly, we'll talk about the next game. I don't think they have a chance. I don't think this other team is crazy.
Yeah, let's move over to this Oregon and Indiana game, man. Indiana is a lot. They are going to bring the full force into this. Yeah, let's talk about it. Anthony, go first.
So right off the bat, first play of the game. I mean, just pick six, crazy. Absolutely. I will say, though, that was a home game for Indiana. I know they kept saying that. That was so loud for that game. But, Oregon would come back, and it would be like, okay. And then as soon as they would get any slight momentum, Indiana would cause a sack or an interception or a fumble or whatever. Indiana puts so much pressure on you that you can't make an error. And I'm telling you, that is impossible in football. Kurt has these guys playing like, I imagine this game was all 5 stars versus all Division III guys. That's what it felt like, and it's the opposite. It's the opposite of this. I can't say enough about Indiana. They whooped them. Blocking punts in the fourth quarter to Kurt looking right at the camera once they blocked it like, this is what we do. Mendoza taking the last snap of the game when you're up 56-20 or something like that because you say you're going to finish it. They have nothing but everything you would want to root for. And I will tell you right now, move over Indiana basketball because I think Indiana football is going to be here and they're going to be around for a while.
Well, what was that stat you told me about? They only got a couple 4 stars and no 5 stars.
Yeah, there was a thing going around right before the game and even leading up to it of all the teams that had 4 stars, 5 stars.
Yeah.
And Indiana had like nothing.
Yeah,
It's-
eight
Yes.
of them.
Yeah.
And the rest of them had 50.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
a
and-
lot. That's a big difference.
And you got to remember, they got a lot of guys from JMU.
Right.
These are guys that have played, but not like
Yeah.
highly recruited, but they've earned themselves at JMU. And then when Kurt moved over, they're like, hey, we trust this guy. We're going to come play because a lot of people transferred out of Indiana when they fired the past coach. So
Mhm.
it's, this Kurt, he top echelon of paying, top echelon, because I can only imagine what he could do when he does get these recruits.
Yeah.
Like he's getting these transfers. Well, this is a team that's not there, that doesn't have all that. Wait till he gets all that. We might be seeing a little bit of a, and I don't want to hot take it, but it feels a little bit of a Nick Saban era starting right now.
All right, Tim. Well, let me hear your thoughts about this game.
I think the key was the turnovers. You had 3 turnovers, and Indiana converted them into touchdowns, everybody. 28 points off 3 turnovers. Mendoza was efficient. He wasn't, starstruck. But, yeah, for Oregon, that killed him. That pick 6, and then the guy's Moore's about ready to throw the ball, and he gets it knocked away from his lineman. This was a total BTA. It was. What was the final score? 56-22?
Yeah,
This game wasn't that close. Wasn't that close by the final score. They still got beat by 34, but they were by 40 and still winging the ball around. When they started scoring a little bit of Oregon, Indiana goes, okay, you want to play that game? We'll just run it up on you.
Yeah.
And they did. And I tell you what, Kirk Cinetti has got them that team playing. They're going to give Miami everything they can handle. But I think Miami can too. I think that defense is a lot better than I think Oregon's defense. And we'll talk about that later in the next couple of days about the game, but that's going to be a good game. But it was just a total ass beating. That's just, that's all there was. We were texting back and forth, and I said, "Oh, here they go. They're going to score. They scored a touchdown here." And you go, "Yeah, they got a long way to go."
Yeah,
So,
a little too
yeah,
late.
that defense, they got 3 sacks, 5 tackles for loss. They kept pressure on Moore. He didn't. Now, don't get me wrong. The 2 running backs for Oregon were out. So that made it where they had to throw the ball. They made them one-dimensional with them 2 running backs out. So that's all they could do. And then when you get behind, that's what you got to do is throw the ball. So, yeah, that was a total dominant.
And I just want to say this too, just because every media is doing it as well. Everyone wants to make fun of Mendoza for being kind of nerdy and so proper with his words, and he's always thankful and all this. But man, can that boy play football? I think he had 2 incompletions and 4 or 5 touchdowns in this game.
Yeah.
And the way he did that spin move, got out of sacks, and just, yeah, I will tell you right now, Indiana looks like an NFL team playing on Saturdays. Or I guess on this situation on Friday.
Right.
But they look like they're playing a different league because Oregon is a good team. Let's not act like this is just a regular season game. This was the semifinals of the college football playoffs. And I want to go back real quick to watching Miami Ole Miss and not hearing any SEC and stuff like this. Are we possibly thinking that the college football committee doesn't really know who to throw in there? Because if a 10 and a 1 seed are going at it, and we're saying this might be a close game, I don't feel that way. I think Indiana, I just think they take you to the deep end, and you have to be used to going to the deep end. Miami is kind of that way, but oh my gosh, that was a real ass beating. That's the one where you can go grab a can and take your belt off and hit them up. Yeah, that's what that is, Michael Irvin.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that means that Miami and Indiana are playing in the national championship Monday, January 19th.
Yep.
So we will do some recap. Well, we'll do some,
Preview.
what to look for before the game, and then we'll do our recap, of course. So exciting news there. Tim, you had bets on these 2 games. How did Tim's best bets go?
I did real well on the Indiana. I was given 4. And then we had the backdoor cover. Not really backdoor cover, the hook. I was getting 3.5 and Ole Miss in the 3.5, and I lost by 4. By half.
Yep.
It's been like that for the last 3 weeks, either by getting backdoored or the hook. One of the 2.
Yeah.
So that's betting. That's betting.
All right. Well, that leaves you with 1-1.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's transfer over to NFL. We had Saturday games with the Rams versus Panthers. Tim, what was the recap of this game?
I think for the Rams, Matthew Stafford was money last night when it had to be done. He was inconsistent in the middle of the game, but when he needed to step up, he did. That injury is kind of making me a little nervous, him hitting his hand on that face mask. But he threw for 304 and 3 touchdowns. The defense stepped up, got key turnovers. I thought this game was going to be a blowout. I really did. It started out to be a blowout. And then it's like the Rams stopped playing, and they let Carolina back in it. Actually, Carolina had the lead, but when they had to go down for that final drive, they went down and they scored. They didn't go field goal. That's McVay for you. He don't go for field goals. He goes for touchdowns. I think the biggest thing too, the Rams with penalties. They had 9 penalties in that block punt that hurt. They've got to get that cleaned up going next round, or they'll be done. I think for the Panthers, Bryce Young was dynamic. He didn't. I still thinking when I was watching with a few friends of mine, and he can't see over the defense. He's too short. He was throwing balls that were just throwing him up there. It seemed like he's too short. He cannot get. I don't know going forward if this is their guy or not, but I don't know. On defense, I mean, the middle course, they played really well on defense, but when they needed to step up, they couldn't. And you can tell they're a 7 seed. They were a 4 seed, but they should have been a 7 seed, really. But they had a good season, and 8 and 9. I mean, now 8 and 10. They played all right, but this was actually a better game than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree. I was expecting this to be a bigger blowout, but then Anthony reminded me that the Panthers did beat the Rams last time they played. So I was kind of expecting the Rams to just kind of take it and run with it, but it was definitely closer than I anticipated it to be. Anthony, you had a Super Bowl contender in this game. Were you nervous that the Rams weren't going to pull it out?
I was a little bit. And here's why I say a little bit, because you said it felt like the Rams stopped playing. Well, the Rams did, because Puka's dropping balls. There was a situation where Devontae Adams dropped the ball. It was like Kyren Williams isn't getting the run. It just felt like they just slowed down. But you know why that is? It's because the Panthers. And I'm going to give the roses to the Panthers in this game. They are a scrappy team. They're a year ahead of what they should be, really. Next year is the year they'll take stuff when some of these wide receivers get bigger, faster, stronger, Tate, all those, right? But they played scrappy. And Bryce Young, I know we want to give all of the shit to him, but I felt like he played as good as Matt Stafford in this game. He kept him in the game for a lot of those plays. And I will say this, it is crazy to hear after the game asking Puka, did you feel like you were a little nervous? He goes, nah, I got 9 in the backfield. That's the real 9, okay? Not J.J. McCarthy saying, get the out of here. I think this, I know the voting was done last week, but if there would have waited on the voting, this would have solidified his MVP. I think Stafford's final drive was just perfection. Yeah. It was a pro. Where he put that ball on Higsby to win the game was just nowhere else that anyone else could catch it but Higsby. Great play by them. I will say, Rams, yes, you're playing on the road all the way through. So you better wake up more than what you did in this game, because going up 14-0 and you got to put your foot on their throat and keep going. And I think Panthers are just scrappy. You're going to see that as go on, but yeah, good win by the Rams.
Yeah, definitely surprising there, but at the same time, it should have been more, confident win. So
yeah.
All right, well, let's move over to the second wild card game, a very close game too here. The Packers versus Bears. I had a lot in this game, and boy, was I nervous after that first half. Anthony, why don't you give me the recap of this game?
Yeah, you said it perfectly. What a great game. Absolutely great game. Bears start out slow like they did all season, while the Packers didn't. Packers were able to throw the ball wherever they wanted that first half, whether it was Jaden Reed, whether it was Romeo Doubs. The ball was getting out of his hands. But the second half turned around. Bears started bringing pressure, started getting these 3-and-outs. First 3 possessions for the Packers in the second half were 3-and-outs. That is huge. That takes momentum in the game. And then they started executing. I will say this right now. If you got anything to say about Caleb Williams, go watch that one play where he throws it on his back leg as he's getting tackled to Romeo Doubs. That right there.
Odunze.
Odunze, whatever. He could have threw it to Randy Moss. That was a
Right.
great
Yeah.
throw.
Yeah,
That was
it was.
stupid. That is
Yeah.
athleticism to its T. And I will say, then the Bears would score 25 points in the fourth quarter, and the pressure that this game had. In the first half was so excited for 670 Monday morning because it was devastation. Caleb's throwing interceptions, but that second half, just good win by the Bears. I am excited to go to work this week and hear the Bears and Packers kind of get at it a little bit. I will say this though, if the D end, I can't think of his name right now. Yeah, got hurt for Packers. Micah Parsons.
Yeah.
If Micah Parsons was playing this game, this would have been a different game. I truly believe that. If he's playing, I think the Packers win. But Bears, hey, the coach Ben Johnson said, we're going to beat the Packers twice a year. We're going to take the North well, technically you did beat them twice this year because you had to play them 3 times. But good win by the Bears. I will say Ben Johnson's got them going in the fourth quarter. God forbid if they played 1 through 4. See what happens there.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I read a stat that said this is the Bears' 7th comeback when trailing with the final 2 minutes in a game. That's unbelievable. It's a nervous stat. That's very anxiety writing to be everything matters in these last 2 minutes. But holy cannoli. Yeah, I had the Bears as one of my Super Bowl contenders. So I was definitely needing them to win this. And I do have to say I had to prove both of you wrong because you both chose the Packers.
Yeah.
And it was looking good in the first half, not so much the second half.
Well, Tim, what did you think about this game?
It's a tale of two halves.
Yeah.
The Packers could do no wrong, up 21-3, and they could do no wrong. Romeo Doubs had a great game, 8 catches for 124 yards, but their defense let them back to the game.
Yeah.
I mean, and their special teams, missed field goal, mixed extra point. There's 4 points right there, boys. That's a tie ball game right there. They would have just tied it. If you could kick extra points and field goals for the Bears, want to come back. I mean, for Caleb Williams, I mean, that's just like you said, that one throw, he was throwing darts. It's just he wants to. I don't know what it is. I don't know how a quarterback could play so shitty for 3 quarters and in the fourth quarter decide to turn it on. There's going to be some day where that's going to bite him in the ass. I'm telling you, he can't keep doing that. But after the defense was a little bit shaky at the beginning, but then they started clamping down. But I think that also one last thing is the injuries to T.J. Edwards and Tripoli. We're going to see how that much affects them because that's their linebacker and offensive lineman.
Yeah,
they're out for the season. I think they're both out. So that is going to be key to see what happened, how they react with those 2 key injuries.
Yeah. Well, and I will say too, Matthew Golden scoring that last touchdown for Green Bay was that's why they drafted you first round and things like that. And then the Bears to come back and score a touchdown. It was back and forth. It was explosive game, but at the whole time, I just thought there's 0% chance that the Packers will give this up. The Bears are the cardiac Bears. I get all that. Right. They're coming back, but there's no way you can let them. And they did. It just seemed like when 4th down or 3rd down, Ben Johnson had that perfect play and Caleb Williams executed with the wide receiver.
Yeah. Well, and the one thing I did not like early, and I think it was early in the game, he's going for it on 4th down on your own 35.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
The guy from Carolina did the same thing in the first drive, and it blew up in his face. And it did here. 2 for 6 on 4th downs. I don't like that. I mean, if they're going to go any further, they've got to clean that up as well. And you can't be going for it every goddamn time. You're not. What are you, Campbell? Come on, man. That's just. You got lucky.
Yeah. No, it was a great game. I was so excited to be I cannot wait to see this Bears devastation. But and I will say this: you said if it's going to catch up to you, it'll catch up to him next weekend. Yeah. It's going to catch up to you. You cannot do. Yeah, because if you go play an Eagles team, if that's who you play, they're going to keep their foot on your throat. They've done the playoffs before. Yeah. They know how to win Super Bowls. Just ask the Chiefs when they just kept putting their foot on their throat. So Bears, I definitely think, and I got to ask this question real quick. How do we get a team that plays so good in the second half, play good in the first half? It starts with practice. Urgency from the start that practice starts to the practice ends. Urgency. And you know what I would do? Excuse me. If I was the Chicago Bears, I'd run hurry up offense the first half. The entire first half I would run it. Like I was texting back and forth with a person that follows us and watches us, and he said I'd run him for the first half. I totally agree with that. I would definitely the first couple series, because then that gets you that urgency. It's like even if you get a loss of yards, nope, we're back at the line. It's the next. It's that goldfish mentality. Next play, but Caleb Williams shows a lot of emotions. He showed a lot of emotions that first half.
Oh my gosh!
And it was like you have to like get that. And he was calm and collective in that second half to win them that game.
Well, let me ask you guys this question. What did you both think? Because I think I'm going to get two different answers here of Ben Johnson's shaking hand of Matt LaFleur. Did you feel like it was, he was just so excited, or do you feel like it was a little bit of disrespect? What do you think, Tim?
I think he was just excited. I mean, you could tell after he shook his hand, they're all jumping around and he falls down and damn near gives himself a concussion when he fell down. I mean, he hit his head hard on the ground. That's like, buddy, calm down a little. And I get it. Hey, this is a big win. This is a big win for their organization that has been getting stepped on, trounced on. I mean, this is a big win for this team that had a hard time beating the Packers the last 10, 15 years. And this is a big win in a playoff game. A come from behind playoff game. I mean, that was something. But I think, yes, I agree. I think it was just his excitement. I don't think it was a.
Yeah. What do you agree?
No, I think it was 100% disrespect. He's being disrespectful, and I'm saying it, and I'm not saying that he was being. I think it was one of those things where this is a rival. We're not friends, and I also think I thought that it might have been excitement in the beginning, but then hearing the press conference after, where he was like, "We heard a lot of noise coming out of the north of us, and them kind of running their mouth earlier in the week, and trust me, we heard it all." And then to shake his hand, and there is a little bit of a, but also Ben Johnson called out Matt LaFleur day one in the press conference. Right. So it's not like it's Matt LaFleur's being mean to Ben Johnson. It's a rival. People don't have to love each other. It doesn't have to be the LeBron James where I love everyone and I want to play against them.
Right. Exchange jerseys and all that BS. Yeah, that's old school there.
Yeah, and Packers and Bears are old school. What a great game to finish up on Saturday night.
Yep.
All right, well, let's move over to our Sunday night games as we're recording a little bit later for these. Anthony, talk to me about the Bills versus Jags game.
Yeah, this is one of those Josh Allen games, right? Where people just think of Josh Allen, MVP type of game for him. They couldn't run the ball, and that's why it had to get into Josh Allen's hands. Bills defense stepped up with getting some turnovers in this game. That's kind of been a little bit of their Achilles heel throughout the year. Their defense, they stepped up. Jags offense on the other side seemed a bit out of it today. It was not the type of game that I thought I would see out of the Jags. They would go up 24-20 with about 4 minutes left in this game. But then the Bills would drive down the field, and guess who? No other than Josh Allen would score a touchdown with a minute to go in this game. Jags would throw an interception on the next drive. I think it was like the first play, but deflected, intercepted, game over. Jags, this is a disappointing game today for them. I will say there wasn't many this year for them, but it's the playoffs, and you can't have any. That's what sends you home. Unfortunately, that was today. It's a good season for them, though. Like, the Jags are getting relevant again. People are talking about them. They're a threat. It would have been nice to get more playoff experience for them because you got Trevor Lawrence that hasn't had much playoff experience, Liam Cohn that hasn't had much playoff experience as a coach. So that would have been nice to get, but a great season for them. They just got to take that step forward to make a playoff contention. Finally, for the Bills, survive and advance. That's all this is about. Keon Coleman stepped up a little bit today. They did have some wide receivers step up, but on the back of Josh Allen. And when we kept saying it right before the playoffs, no Lamar, no Patrick Mahomes, no Joe Burrow, we just named these quarterbacks that were always in front of him. Mm-hmm. This game just made me kind of feel like, Josh Allen and the Bills are rolling right now. So good win by the Bills today.
And I feel like it's kind of like about time because it feels like the Bills have had this rock that they've been trying to push over this hill of we're trying to prove ourselves, we're trying to make way, but they keep running into different type of obstacles to have to overcome. So this is the type of football that the Bills strive in. I feel like where you're pushed into the corner, you have to survive in advance to move on, and Josh Allen put the team on his back and just pushed through. That push that they had there that was supposed to just get 1 yard, and then they almost got a touchdown out of it. I thought that was pretty impressive. I didn't think that was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
But lucky for them that they made that tush push worth it.
Yeah, and I'll say this too. This is the type of games too where with Josh Allen that you're like, he does too much, and you're like, if you lose, we say, oh, you did too much.
Yeah.
But when you win, you're like, that's Josh Allen.
Right.
And unfortunately, it's playoff time, so he needs to do whatever he needs to do to win these games. I mean, they're going to be on the road the whole way through pretty much. So they have to be ready for what elements they went into today and even in the future going down the playoffs. I will say this, if this Bills team that played today plays that way, they're a little scary for this playoffs.
Well, Anthony, you also lost your first Super Bowl
Yeah.
contender team, so I might have to razz you a little bit. I have up until Monday night to razz you until I don't know if I'm going to make it.
Yeah, and I thought the Jags, I thought they were hot and coming on a run. Like I said, they had a disappointing game today, and they haven't had many of those this year. But it's just it's the Buffalo Bills. You can't have a bad game and think that they're gonna let you win. And they almost did. They almost did let you until that final drive by Josh Allen and the Bills.
Yep, absolutely. All right, well, let's move over to this latest game, the 49ers versus Eagles. Tell me about this one.
Yeah, another great game. So we're recording before the Sunday night, before the Monday night game, obviously. All of these games have been absolutely great. Coming down to the end, I think I saw a stat that the team that won was losing within the last 2 minutes until this last game that we're about to talk about. But this came down to the end as well. Both offenses seemed a little bit out of norm. 49ers like to run the ball, and they couldn't really get that running attack going until they needed it to. On the other side, Eagles, they seemed like they just couldn't connect in the passing game. Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown, and then this results in A.J. Brown and Coach Saran, or the coach for the Eagles getting separated because they're kind of jabbering at each other. This has been boiling up all year with A.J. Brown and stuff like this. I wouldn't doubt it if the coach was like, all right, you want the ball? Here we go. And then he couldn't catch those two passes. For the 49ers, talking about passing game, George Kittle got injured in this game. It looks like an Achilles injury, really bad. So 49ers are done, right? Like, they're just, without Pearsall, without Kittle, without all these options, they're losing, right? Well, with all that, the Eagles would kick a field goal to take the lead 19-17, but the 49ers, next drive down the field and score a touchdown with Christian McCaffrey catching the ball with 3 minutes left in this game. A lot of time. And honestly, I told you, I was like, that's not it.
Yeah.
This is going to go back and forth the way that this the playoffs have gone so far for the NFL. But then, like, the Eagles would drive, and it comes down to a fourth down, and you got to get the passing attack, obviously, because it was like 4th and 8 or 4th and 7 or something like that, whatever. Got to get a passing attack. And Jalen Hurts throws it in triple coverage? A jump ball to A.J. Brown probably has a better percentage of completion than triple coverage. I didn't understand that one. So the 49ers would go on to win this with all these injuries and all this situation. They still find ways to win games on the road. Eagles, they played good today. I wouldn't say this, I'm sorry. Let me back up. They did not play great today. They played inconsistent, which is how they've played all season.
Yeah.
We've seen this all year. We've been like, oh, it'll turn on. Well, this is how they did it last year. And I really think when you look at this year, you're going to say it was a Super Bowl hangover. A lot of teams that make it to the Super Bowl or definitely win the Super Bowl, it's hard because you have less of a off season to get into the next season. And then before you know it, that game's starting, and they call it a Super Bowl hangover. I feel like that's what you got. They did very well this year, but it just seemed like when it was time to turn on the burners, the Eagles couldn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
For the 49ers, I truly don't know how they're doing it, but they're doing it. And injuries are building up. I'm nervous that that's going to catch up to them, but we've also been saying that for a while about the 49ers. But if Juwan Jennings is going to keep throwing touchdown passes, when he had that reverse to throw a touchdown pass was pretty good. If they're going to keep doing that, they should be fine. 49ers, I don't know who they'll be taking on. I think they take on Seattle, which was a game that was just literally 2 weeks ago. And then you got Rams and Bears. This is great games. But a lot of games decided in the last 2 minutes. We still have 2 more games, but the last 2 minutes have been the indicators of a lot of these games. What's going to happen when these teams face each other and they got to play a whole 3 quarters and most of a fourth quarter before the last 2 minutes? So great win by the 49ers, though.
Yeah, the fourth quarter is this whole weekend has been very exciting, very intense, and like just who's gonna get the last second in to score.
Yeah.
It's been very exciting. Yeah, you're right. That little like flip-de loop that Jawan Jennings had was
Yeah.
really cool to see. But it definitely seemed like, Christian McCaffrey put his team on his back and made points happen. I mean, with the unfortunate event with Kittle and like you said, their previous injuries, this team is relentless. If I heard the announcer say it once, I heard him say it 10 times, but they are relentless. They are crafty in a sense that they're going to find a way to score. And, you would have think the Eagles would have found a way to capitalize on the situations that 49ers were put in, but just wasn't enough to seal the deal.
Yeah, and I will say they like the Kushek or whatever, the fullback for the 49ers. He was a lot of the options for Brock Purdy today. I think Brock Purdy played a decent game overall, and that allows Christian McCaffrey. But what happens in the future for the 49ers, they have to get that running attack going because that opens up the play action, and that's where a Juwan Jennings is a big factor. That's where Robinson today came on, Robinson came on really well today. Career high in yards and stuff. That's where those situations happen. But if you can't get that running attack, you become one-dimensional. But when the game was on the line, they were able to run the ball. And that's the thing about the 49ers. We talked about Carolina earlier, scrappy. 49ers are scrappy. They just want to go down to the end. Last thing I'll say about the Eagles, and I'm kind of just disappointed in them. I mean, honestly, I said that they could have been a Super Bowl caliber team.
Yeah.
Why I'm disappointed, it just felt like there was no urgency. I mean, you got A.J. Brown and the coach chipping at each other on the sideline. I love that. If you have urgency, but you can't be chipping at each other and then go out in the field and be like, okay, here we go.
It felt very flat. Yeah.
Yeah.
It felt very flat. Like there's no energy, no pick me up to being like, we're still in this. We want to win this game. It just felt very flat.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the other thing too was Saquon. Saquon had over 100 rushing yards. It's one of those situations where it's like, I saw so many people talking about why don't they utilize Saquon the way they use Christian McCaffrey? Out of the backfield for catching. Well, then we saw in today's game. I mean, I think it was only one, but still it's the one. Saquon not catching the ball, dropping the ball. It's like, you got to have that. You got it. Like, that's what makes Christian McCaffrey so well is even that Juwan Jennings throw that he threw to him, he had to look over his shoulder and make it like a wide receiver play. So, I mean, right now, NFC West still has all three teams in. One will eventually be eliminated because they're going to play each other. But they could possibly have two teams in the NFC Championship if the Bears would lose to the Rams. And that's a pretty dominant little division right there if they can do that. But we'll have to kind of see once we get going forward.
Oh, so you're saying that my Super Bowl team and your Super Bowl team are playing against each other now?
Yeah, this upcoming week. Yep. So,
Woo!
and we'll see because they'll schedule it Saturday and Sunday and things like that. But all right, well, this is episode 184. We talked about the NFL games. We talked about college football games. College football kind of goes on the hiatus for a little bit because the game ain't till January 19th, but NFL keeps rolling. We will be back on Tuesday where we'll be recapping the Sunday night game and the Monday night games, kind of giving right back to where the seedings come in because now Mr. Tim Cook's Denver Broncos got to prove themselves, and Sam Darnold and the Seahawks, both teams had a bye this week. They'll be back into this whole thing, so we'll see how they do it. If you like what we do, follow us on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and all those. Have a great start to your week. Please, I know it. I keep pleading with people. Just enjoy the little bit of football that we have left. Have a great start to your week, and we'll talk to you on Wednesday.